Welcome back, MTG Joe here, and today we're going to be doing another installment of the weekly meta breakdown where we look at the top performing decks of the week for each of the MTG Arena formats. This particular video is for standard best of one. If you're looking for best of three, explore, historic, they're all standalone videos that'll be going on throughout the week. Probably going to scale back on historic best of three, got like very low view counts on that one. I'm also going to just hang off probably on all historic till later in the week. There's a new expansion, Alchemy Baldur's Gate, which will also be live cards that go into historic. So we'll hold off. That releases on Tuesday. Or no, early access Tuesday, release on Thursday. So we'll wait to see. There's probably going to be some sort of shake-up based on it being a pretty big set. But in any case, we are looking at standard best of one for today. And we are getting our data for this from Untapped.gg, which you see on the screen. It's a companion tool that runs alongside your Arena client, tracks win rates, loss rates, collections, gives you deck ideas, a whole bunch of stuff. Has in-game overlays. It's free to use, a whole bunch of functionality. The link is in the video description down below if you want to follow that. But I will be pasting all the deck lists as always in the video description. So jumping into it, we are looking at standard best of one, June 26th to July 3rd. Platinum to Mythic rank, and we have 180,000 games of Magic played for this week. So top performing deck, as it's been for pretty much the last month and a half, Boros Burn, Boros Aggro, Boros Modify, whatever you want to call it. This is an aggressively slanted deck, so you have Hopeful Initiates in here, Luminarch Aspirants to buff your team, Kumano buffs your team, gives you a body. So it's got a lot of haste threats, and then Burn, so 8 pieces of creature removal. We've seen them move from Valor Stance to Angelfire Ignition. I think this card's are really good in the Mirror Breaker. Just gives you lifelink, lets you help race and kind of swing the damage in these creature mirrors. You have Sunrise Cavalier, which gets bigger with the Day-Night cycle, as well as Brutal Cathar. And then it also has Trample, which is really relevant because you put counters on a lot of things in this deck. And then Thundering Raiju at the top end. That allows you to distribute, lets you still attack very much like Hellrider in past for the older folks that played an Innistrad standard, but lets you deal damage not through combat, just through kind of putting counters on things. We've also kind of seen them move to Sundown Pass over the Snarls, so just kind of minor tweaks from week to week. This is really what we try to accomplish with these meta breakdowns, is kind of look at the changes each week and kind of see from that. This is a 65% win rate deck. Up next is Mono White Aggro. So I actually featured a Mono White deck this week that was just a more 3-drop heavier version. That was for a while. Earlier in the week I had a 70% win rate on Untapped. I'll link that one as well. But this one's more of the weenie style. So kind of going back to the Cast 2 style effects. So we saw this earlier on with Monk of the Open Hand, Clarion Spirit, Codespell Cleric. And then you're offsetting it with Guiding Voice, which lets you use the Learn board. Homestead Courage lets you do it twice. You got Usher the Fallen, so just heavy 1-drops. And then Luminarch Intrepid Adversary is Lord effects. Kabira Takedown as a way to have removal. Maul the Skyclaves, and Skyclave Apparition is removal. One thing, if you're going to play this deck, don't play Snow-Covered Plains. It provides no advantage and really is only a negative, because if you run into Redain, you should also be playing at least 1 to 2 Cave of the Frost Dragon, just as a creature land in this deck. It's free to play. Sideboard, you just have a bunch of utility in the lessons as well. So more aggressively slanted 1-drop heavy deck. Then we have Celestia Enchantments at 63%. So this is not necessarily the combo-ish Runes version. It's more of a grindier version. You're using Weaver of Harmony to duplicate or copy the activated or triggered abilities from enchantments. So, for example, if Mashiko's Chapter 1 or 2 triggers, you can pay a mana and copy it, so target creature gets +1/1 2 times, which works really well with something like Kamiya Transience, which has Trample built into it. You can also put counters on things with Generous Visitor. All your enchantment creatures also get a buff from Weaver of Harmony, and then you just got some one-ofs or kind of removal. So this version has more removal, so you have Borrowed Time, Circle, Confinement, Touch of Spirit Realm, some one-of enchantments, Inspiring Regiment, lets you go offense-defense, Wedding Announcement, Rune of Might for Trample, Ranger's Class, and then some communes helps you dig for some specific answers. You have the learn board because of sparring regimen, so just some utility cards mixed into here. I don't know why Silverquill Pledgemate's here or Shijiri Shelter, but you could just kind of load up on lesson cards in the sideboard. This looks like a best of 3 deck that they just played in best of 1. This mana base is also pretty bad. This looks pretty budgety, so you should be playing full 4 branch, loft pathways, full 4 of these slow lands kind of mixed into there. Probably one of the green creature lands as well in here. I wouldn't play this. This just seems bad, but kind of just some tweaks there with the mana base. Next one is a cool one that first time I'm seeing this one, mono black zombies. So it's kind of a mono black aggressive deck that tops out at Invoke Despair. This will allow you to kind of get some card advantage, but you have stuff like Fellstinger to sack your dorks. Jadar gives you a reoccurring theme, or like a bunch of zombies every turn. This version here is looking to hate against the white decks in the format for Rave Enfeeblements. You got some Bloodchief's Thirst, Champion of Perish, Shambling Ghast. Meathook Massacre could be relevant when you have stuff like your Decayed Zombies dying every turn. Graph Weaver really is just a 2-mana 3/3 in this deck. There's not a huge amount of Planeswalkers going around in best of 1, as you can see from the top 3 decks right now. But in a pinch, you can also use it to exploit creatures. And then Even Death could come back whenever another creature dies. Pretty stock mana base, 4 creature lands plus a Crawling Barrens as a 5th, kind of mixed into there. Up next, Naya Humans, 61%. So this is kind of like the mono white aggro decks, topping up a Helana and Alana to pump your squad every turn, and Sigarda as a Lord and card advantage engine. So you have just like Adeline, which is an army in a can, some removal and Brutal Cathar, Spellbinder to tax your opponent, Thalia to tax your opponent, Valor Stances, removal protection, Hopeful Initiates, kind of grow over time, works really well against something like the Enchantments deck, then Luminarch and Intrepid buff your team. We go to Rakdos Sacrifice. So this is an Anvil deck. So you're looking in this deck to play more like an Aristocrat style deck where you're nickeling and diming your opponent. A life loss here, drain there. So you make treasure tokens or blood tokens with stuff like Voldaren Aperture, Bloodtithe Harvester. You can sack these to the Deadly Dispute. Synthesizer's card advantage. You can sack any of those artifacts to Voltage Surge to deal 4 damage. And that lets you start creating tokens with Omnicult Anvil. This is a shell with Obnixis where you get to sack various spells or creatures as well in the deck. It lets you get the plus going and kind of drain your opponent that way. Some meat hooks in there, Fable to copy stuff like Blood Tithe. Every turn you have removal. So just a bunch of utility in that shell as well. Then we move into Boros Control. This is kind of a Boros combo deck at 59%. So what you're trying to do with this deck is self-mill or self kind of throw things into the graveyard with stuff like Thrilling Discovery, Restoration of Eiganjo, or Fable the Mirrorbreaker. In particular, you want to throw into your graveyard either Sanctuary Warden or Velomachus Lorehold. And then what you do is you cast Invoke Justice, you target, and then with ideally Velomachus comes in. It comes in as a 9/9, and then you can hit your opponent, and then you can cast like a Miria's Call, or Burn Down the House, or another copy of Invoke Justice. Just a bunch of utility that way there. Got some removal, Dragon's Fire, Faithful Absence mixed in there. Burn Down the House of Sweeper, Wandering Emperor as removal and a threat. You'll see here, for example, with this deck and with Untapped, I only have 2 to the 4 Sanctuary Wardens needed for this deck. If I want to play this deck, I need 2 more Mythics. You can hover over, you can see I have 26 Mythics ready to go. Moving into Angels. So this is a fair version of Angels, kind of a mid-range. So you use like Jada to buff up subsequent Angels. Youthful Valkyrie gets bigger with each Angel cast. Card draw and a life gain. Big board life gain. And then Liaison on the top end to kind of rebuy your creatures. You have a Planeswalker package of Elspeth to help you dig and get card advantage with relevant keywords with its plus. Wandering Emperor just does everything you want in a Planeswalker. A Legion Angel tucked away there. And then Furja's Retribution is a creature removal and kind of a Anthony double strike, you got 5 pieces of spot removal as well mixed into there, and the Legion Angel on the sideboard. We go to Esper midrange. This is kind of the Planeswalker-y version, so you're using a bunch of kind of value creatures. Tenacious Underdog plays really nice with Rafine, which you can throw away and get back from the graveyard. Luminarch buffs your squad. A lot of removal, 7 pieces of spot removal here. Some Meat Hook Massacres. Kaido lets you draw a bunch of cards. Wedding Announcement for just tokens and an Anthem effect. Then top end Planeswalker package, a Sorin, Wandering Emperor, and Lulth mixed into there. Sometimes you'll see like Legion Angel in these, but this one's pretty much a port of the set championship. I probably wouldn't be playing Spell Pierce, to be honest. I think you're probably better off just being more proactive. Either like another Sorin or another Lulth, just stuff to grind value. Seems pretty good in the format right now. And then lastly, Jeskai Hinata, Jeskai Control. So this is a deck that's looking to ideally play Hinata out as early as turn 4. And then from there, each of your target spells for your opponent get cost reduction, and your opponent targeting your stuff taxes them. You also have Goldspan Dragon as like the main 2 creatures. You can make copies of Goldspan with the Fable, but you just have like a bunch of counters that get reduced cost, a bunch of targeted removal, stuff like March of the Swirling Mist. Basically, with Hinata out is just a blue, and then you get to tap whatever you want. And then you have Magma Opus, which can cost as little as 2 mana in this deck with all the targets that you do with that. So this is arguably the best deck in best of 3. Because best of 1 tends to be a little bit more linear in aggro, stuff like Negate tends to be a little iffy at times, but post board you get like sweepers and stuff like that. Like an early turn where your opponent goes like Dalion 2, Spellbinder on 3 could kind of get you at times, but this is a very powerful deck in best of 3. And lastly, as always, show you my profile. I actually got Mythic in 2 days this month. I got in at 16th Mythic, highest for the month. You can see like the deck tracking and stuff like that. Got there with with Explorer Angels and then Alchemy Ignis combo. Videos up for the Explorer Angels deck. Very, very good deck, 82% win rate, plus a bunch more wins when I was playing on mobile. But you can kind of see just like the various decks you play and stuff like that. So this is what I was saying with like win rate tracks and stuff like that. You can also kind of check to see changes you make along the way. In best of 3, you can also see how you sideboard, stuff like that. And you can also see, like, if you want to see what your opponent was playing, you can click that, and then it'll pull up their deck so you can see at least the cards you ran into. So if you ever question, hey, your opponent had a cool deck, how can I play that? This is a way to look at that. So in any case, I'm going to wrap this up. Hope you enjoy. As always, if you do enjoy this content, greatly appreciate it if you can. Drop a like, comment, and if you haven't done so already, consider subscribing to the channel. Get to know when we go live with all these decks, or these meta videos, gameplay, anything like that. All free and easy ways to help out the channel. Thanks for watching. Hope you have a great one, and stay safe out there.